And we're going to meet now a really, really interesting man. He's a Rabbi, Dr. Jonathan Romaine. What he's doing is he's setting up a transport charity.
Yeah, this is all inspired. It's called Ukraine Transport, and it's inspired by Kinder Transport, which benefited his mother as she was fleeing from the Holocaust. A very warm welcome to the programme, Rabbi. Thank you for joining us this morning. What an amazing tribute to your mother on this International Women's Day, and of course hugely valuable to people fleeing the scenes in Ukraine. How did this idea come to you?
Well, initially it was a very small idea that like everybody, appalled by what was going on. My wife and I, our children have left home. We had spare room, and I thought, right, we'd volunteer to open our room to a refugee from Ukraine. And I found that the organisations I rang weren't doing anything. For whatever reason. I think they are leaping into action now, but at that time they weren't. So I said, right, okay, I'll volunteer to sort of be a focal point for people who want to offer. And that was partly, as you said, for humanitarian reasons. You just can't see all those pictures without your heart bleeding. But also because I suppose I have a historic memory from my own family, because as you said, my mother came over here from Leipzig in Germany, Nazi Germany at the time. She was one of the lucky ones in that she came on the Kinder Transport when Britain opened its arms and took in 10,000 Jewish children. And if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be talking to you. And I think actually for a lot of Jewish people, there is that sort of memory of that we were once refugees, and now is the time for us to step up and help our generation cope with this latest trauma. And so really I sort of let it know that I was organising people who wanted to offer not just a home, but even a roof, a loft, a spare room, whatever, a mobile house. And I was just quite overwhelmed by the number of people who've been writing in and saying, yes, we'd like to help in some way. People are just desperately sad at what's going on. What we really want is, of course, to stop the war. We can't do that. That's not in our power. But we can make a difference to an individual Ukrainian family, or a man, a woman, a family with a dog, whatever, and try and help those particular people. And literally offers of help have been flooding in and throughout the country, from Kent to Aberdeen, people of all faith, people of no faith, and it's just been wonderful and heartwarming. And at a time when really the news is so bleak and dire, it's been really it's been really great to not only get the offers, but the stories people tell with them. Like there was one lady who said, I'm 84, I've got a cataract operation next week, but I do have a spare room, so I'll help somebody. Or there was another person who wrote an email saying, well, my husband's got quite severe kidney problems. He's on dialysis. And I thought the email was going to end by saying, so I'd love to help, but can't. But instead, she said, so why don't you send to me a Ukrainian family who've also got dialysis problems, and I can take them both to hospital at the same time? People really going extra mile.
People, their hearts are open. The memory's ingrained in you. It's part of your DNA. And then you get to border control and you're asked, where's your visa? And I just want your sort of view on that, about what we're doing to accept refugees. And also tell us about your mum, what age she was. Did she have to have papers? Was she accompanied when she was a child?
Well, on your first question, at the moment, the government hasn't quite made up its mind, to put it gently, as to what its policy is going to be. As you know, it's only allowing people with immediate family, Ukrainian family, here already. And I think a lot of British people would like them to widen that and to let anyone in need come. I mean, the European Union has waived the need for visas completely. And also, amazingly, they've said that Ukrainian refugees can have free travel on the railways. So that if you are stuck in a camp in a Polish-Ukrainian border, how do you get to France or Belgium? Well, you can just get on a train. You may not have any money. You may have left your credit card behind, but you can actually make that journey to family elsewhere. And it would be really good if we did something similar and allowed people in, because I think so far only 50 visas have been given. Now, of course, back in the day, by which I mean 1939, just before war started, Britain, they did give visas for these 10,000 children, but they came unaccompanied. My mother came alone, she was 11 years old. She was coming to a new country, a new language. She ended up in Devon, where a Quaker family, and by the way, the Quakers and the Christadelphians, lots and lots of people helped in those days, but the Quakers and the Christadelphians made it part of their mission to help the Kinders transport, and all credit to them. And in fact, I've had some emails from a Quaker family saying, my grandfather took in children from the Kinders transport, so I want to replicate his act in my time too. She was actually one of the lucky ones, because although she was traumatized as a child and always had a sense of insecurity throughout her life, she got out, and her uncles, aunts, cousins, they did not survive.
Gosh, terribly sobering, and a really stark reminder of the importance of acting and being open-hearted. Dr. Jonathan Romaine, thank you so much for talking to us this morning.